everybody, welcome to Grimsforge Gaming. Today we are going to cover our Road to Glory Episode 2, and we are over here in the EU server, and we've got some more EU Imperial City adventures and some EU battlegrounds. And what I'll do is in the descriptions below we will link the episode 1 so you can kind of see what's going on. But as a recap, basically I used to play almost exclusively on the NA server, and that's where we do all of our builds and have a lot of the outnumbered PvP footage that we have. And I thought, how cool would it be if we jumped over to the EU side? I met some people from EU in YouTube, and I thought, well, let's come over here and see what type of trouble we can get into. And so here we are. And my buddy and I have been running around Imperial City, and a friend of mine from NA, Icy, he's actually joined EU as well, just to play around with me. And I've brought my Kratos build over here, which is a Stamden two-hand sword and board build. It's a very fun PvP build, and Icy is going to be playing a Bowplar, which will be fun. And so we've got Kratos and Atreus over here, father-son combo, and we're going to be getting in trouble in PvP. But anyways, those will be coming up probably in episode 3. Right now we're covering, so in episode 1 we leveled from 1 to 36, and what's that look like in no CP Imperial City, how much money could we make, and what type of damage we could do, and that was all covered in episode 1. And then here in episode 2 we basically leveled from level 36 to CP, and we are now CP 170, I believe. So I do have CP 160 gear on my Necromancer, and when you're looking at that build, so a lot of the footage is me playing the Necromancer as a two-hander, but basically that was because we needed to get to a point where we had Rally unlocked. And once we had Rally unlocked, or Momentum, and then morph to Rally, then we could backbar the two-hander and start working on our bow, because we are going to be using the Witcher build over here. And the Witcher build, if you haven't seen that, I will link that in the descriptions as well. We did take the time while we were over here to track down some mythic items, and so right now we have the Ring of the Wild Hunt over here, and that's going to be really nice for our Witcher build. Our Witcher build hits extremely hard, and it's very mobile, and it is a bow front bar damage output, and then two-hander on the back. So if you haven't seen that build, check it out. It's a lot of fun, and in the video for that we even have couple BG walkthroughs. So anyways, here we are. We leveled from level 36 to CP, and we have been spending most of our time in no CP Imperial City. I did hop into CP Imperial City from time to time to see what's going on over there. And basically, when you are leveling down in Imperial City or in a PvP atmosphere, up until you hit CP points, I think it's very important to at least have gear for every 10 levels. The reason being is because of the way gear scales with you. So as an example, if you were level 10 and you put on some purple gear, you're going to be very powerful. All your stats are going to be pumped up, and as like when I put purple gear on my level 10, I had just under 5k weapon damage, and 30k health and 40k stamina. So check that out, and depending on what sets you put together, I would like to, for me, I like to have gear waiting for me every 10 levels. Now, because when I came over here to the EU, I myself cannot craft anything over here. I had to hire a crafter, and basically we worked a trade out for key fragments and a stack of 200 key fragments for some new gear. And so there were times in these video clips here where my gear is very outdated. At one point I think I didn't have fresh gear for about 30 levels, and that was pretty rough. And so 30 levels of at one point I wasn't able to do a whole lot of damage, and just because of my situational awareness and line of sighting and stuff, we were able to stay in the fights, but you could tell there was a decrease in healing, decrease in damage, and we were just very squishy. So for that reason too, my thought process was, well, let's get into some medium armor when we first started this whole thing, and let's get to where our weapon damage is nice or whatever. But at one point, I made the jump from being at least 5 medium to running 5 heavy to medium. We needed those extra resistances, and because we were stretching gear out, or we were using gear longer than we should, more than 10 levels. And so while our damage would be really low and our heals would be really low, at least our resistances would help keep us alive. And so that was the play we made, and you could definitely tell that your gear starts getting heavy. When you hit CP, I would say get a new, some fresh gear made for you, and then because you get your champion points so quickly when you first hit CP, they start coming in very quickly. Getting to CP 130 or CP 70 is no problem, and so I probably wouldn't make more gear until you hit, say, CP 70, and then again at CP 130, and then at CP 160 you will be able to actually get in-game gear, right? So that's the best play for you when you're doing CP Imperial City, or no CP I should say. Let's talk about no CP PvP versus CP, so champion points PvP. I would say if if you're a person that has 810 CP, you should probably be in champion point PvP, right? Imperial City, and make use of those. But if you have, let's say, under 500 CP, under 400 CP, I would probably be a no CP Imperial City. The reason being is the math, right? If you were to take a 400 champion point person and put it against an 800 champion point person, obviously skill comes into play, the build comes into play. There's a lot of factors, but there is some math involved, right? The 810 CP person has more champion points to allocate to damage potential, to resistances, to break free cost reduction, um, to sprint cost reduction, dodge roll cost reduction, all these different things. And I think you put all of that together, and a 400 champion point swing makes it a tough fight, right? And then if you add the situation where it could be potentially an outnumbered situation, that makes it really hard. And so for that reason, I would say if you're under, say, 400 or 600, even if you're a high skill set person, maybe stay in no CP and build accordingly for there until you get your CP up, and then jump to CP Imperial City. Now, here's the different thought process too. Let's say you are a CP 300. I'm not saying avoid Champion Point or CP Imperial City altogether at 200 or 300, because having those champion points, you versus the environment, like you farming Telvar and just killing mobs, you're going to be that much stronger. You're definitely going to be stronger over there versus creatures, right? But the second you run into a player, that's where the problem comes into play. So, and the math is not in your favor, right? So, just food for thought. Think about staying in no CP and getting your champion points built up. And I can tell you this, with my experience, no CP, as a 810 CP player over in NA servers, you definitely, it's a crutch that you are unaware of. right? I come over here to EU. I have no champion points, and my gear is not always optimal because I am not a max level crafter over here. And running around in no CP Imperial City is brutal. It is brutal, okay? And especially in this state of the game right now with abilities not firing and things like that and delay, and there's some really weird bugs going on, like with healing and stuff. You can see this on some other content creators. Heals are nowhere near what they should be, even after the reduction to battle spirit in Greymore. But there's some really weird things going on. I was just walking yesterday in Imperial City, and my stamina just kept going down as I was walking. Wasn't running, wasn't crouching, just walking, and my stamina goes down. And the second my stamina hit 0, I stopped dead in my tracks. I couldn't move anymore, and that's really weird. And then there's a weird cosmetic bug where your jaw gets dislocated, and I don't know if anybody's seen this weird bug, but your character, if you're not wearing a helm, their jaw will be offset to the left or to the right, and it looks really freaky. But that's mostly cosmetic. But weird things with stamina bugs, weird things with healing, and you add those on top of not having access to champion points or crafting. We are doing hard mode over here. So, um, but anyways, it's been a lot of fun. And so you guys can enjoy the Imperial City footage that we have. We're out there getting in trouble, and this is basically me anywhere from between level 36 to champion points, and then I'll have more footage at a later time coming up from me from champion point like 160 and beyond, getting in trouble. And we do have our Witcher build actually set up and ready to go. I've been running around with the Ring of Wild Hunt, and we've been killing people with that. And I don't have the exact build as our Witcher build. I have an alt gen build currently for that, so we can get our ultimate up as quick as possible here in no CP. And once we hit 810, then we're going to switch over to New Moon and Shield Breaker, the exact build that we have over in NA, and then we're going to really get into some trouble. But anyways, some other things too along the way, just from us leveling from 1 until champion point. We roughly made about 600k gold along the way, just kind of following my Imperial City guide. And basically, as we farm Telvar, we turn around, take the Telvar, and we buy the Hacky Joe Prismatic Enchant, and then we sell those. And they sell anywhere from 16k to 17k a piece. And so I'll sell them as individuals, or I'll sell them in groups of 3. And so anyways, we got up to about 600k, a little over 600k gold in the time it took us to level up. And I've done much better than that. I think in a week process I made about 2 million gold in 1 week's time over on NA, but that's with we were running around in CP Imperial City, obviously with 810 CP, and we were player hunting. And so your Telvar gains are potentially much higher if you're winning those outnumbered situations. And so we look forward to getting to that point. But if you're mostly just farming the mobs in Imperial City and killing the random players that you come across and kind of sticking to your own side of the sewers, you know, I would say probably 600k gold is about what you're looking at. Another thing that kind of contributed to the 600k gold was as we were opening chests and we found the crafting motifs like Aldmeri Dominion shoulders or gloves or whatever, and those sell anywhere from 3k to 8k a piece, and so we were selling those. And we were also gathering key fragments, and I was using the stacks of key fragments, like I said, to trade out for a new set of armor, so that way I could stay somewhat competitive if we ran into people. And a stack of key fragments that are about 200, those sell anywhere from 2,000 to 25,000 per stack if you're selling them, and so that's good to know. So because I wasn't selling those down here, we might have hit 800,000 gold made, primarily just farming Telvar for mobs and killing random PvPers and everything. But that's not too shabby, the amount of gold that you can make while you're leveling. So, and that's pretty much it. Plans for the future are we are going to have some build videos coming out over on the NA side. I got a werewolf build video, werewolf build in the works. I've got a magic DK build in the works, and we updated our stam blade and our bow ganker, so I have builds using those, and we're basically using the ring of the wild hunt on both of those builds, and we're going to increase the damage potential on both of those builds. So our Mandalorian stam blade, our professional bow gank build will get increased. Our Blackbeard mag DK build will get updated, and then at some point we're going to have an update to the Stanley Excelsior build and kind of see where we're at with that. So a lot of projects on my plate, and another thing too is we want to get to A10 CP over on the EU side so we can log in over there and get into a ton of trouble. So that's everything. Enjoy the footage here, and everybody be safe.
2,000 surrounding us. Travel 2,000 kilometers to hang out with us. What's up, danger? What's up, danger? Hey, didn't know they doubted us. Makes it that more marvelous. Sign them up, cause ominous vibes and I get synonymous. What's up, danger? Hey, don't be a stranger. Cause I like high chances that I might lose. I like it all on the edge, just like you. Hey, I like tall buildings so I can leap off of them. I go hard with it, no matter how dark it is. I'm unsafe, but on my toes. I could keep the world balanced on my nose. I had a slumber party with all my foes. Now I wear them like a badge of honor on my clothes. If I'm crazy, I'm on my own. If I'm waiting, it's on my phone. If I sound lazy, just ignore my tone. Cause I'm always gonna answer when you call my phone. Like, what's up, danger? 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 Asking where did I go wrong? What's up, danger? What's up, danger? Travel 200 miles, I'm knocking at your door. And I don't really care if you ain't done wrong. Come on, what's up, danger? Don't be a stranger. I like it when trouble brews, I won't dare change. I like it when there's turbulence on my airplanes. I like it when I sense things that I can't see yet. Swimming with sharks when they ain't feed yet. Cause I like high chances that I might lose. I like it all on the edge, just like you. Ay, I like tall buildings so I can leap off of them. I go hard with it, no matter how dark it is. If I'm crazy, I'm on my own. If I'm waiting, it's on my phone. If I sound lazy, just ignore my tone. Cause I'm always gonna answer when you call my phone. Like, what's up, danger?